Creating from the heart, the artistry of living, and my pleasure today is to be with Ric Federighi.
Woo, woo, woo.
You know, it's really hard to tie him down, but I finally got him in my
Awesome
studio.
honor. I'm digging. The studio is epic. If you haven't seen it, it's just amazing. And you are such a true artist, and it's an honor to be here. Thank you, Suzy.
Thank you. Just an artist of life like you are.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So, Ric, you drive from forever away from
Yes.
here to come tell us about Michigan City.
Yes.
Every day.
Been
It's
doing it for
amazing. How long?
18 years now. And so I drive from the Schaumburg area, it's the easiest way to say it, right outside of O'Hare. And it's about 110 miles one way, no matter the crazy weather, whether it's raining or snowing. I love what I do. The good Lord put me here. And I used to come here as a little boy. You know, we would come to the dunes, and we've had family and friends around here all my life. And
Do you ever stay overnight?
all the time. I do love it. And, you know, we're doing events nonstop and different things like that. We have family in town to come see the lights during the holidays, to come for the X Insurance Great Lakes Grand Prix,
Right.
parades. So we're doing stuff all weekend long. I'm like, we're staying.
So why are you in Schaumburg?
Well, because we have parents, my wife and I, and she has her mom and dad, God bless, and my mom as well. And we, you know, for right now in our world, this chapter, they're here to make sure we're always around. And we have great brothers and sisters and wonderful people that help, but for now it works.
Okay.
And my grandchildren are out there.
I love the fact that you say yes to life the way it shows up.
It is what it is, right? We just love it.
So how did you get into this?
Wow.
How did you get into radio?
All right. So as a young kid, went to Catholic school. I started playing guitar for all the Catholic masses.
No wonder you're so comfortable
I
here.
love it. 4th through 8th grade, altar boy and all that fun stuff. But truly, you know, I was one of the kids in my family that, you know, my brothers and sisters, everybody was good at something different. 6 brothers and sisters total. And, but, you know, everybody had their own, you know, skills, talents. And everybody's good at sports and, you know, this and that. I felt my calling was radio, DJing and all that stuff.
When
So,
did you decide that or feel that?
probably when I was playing guitar and doing that, because I was always singing. I was always leading the performances. I was always in theater as a young kid. I did commercial work, and that just catapulted me into, this is what I want to do. So
This is theater.
this is exactly theater as well. And it was one of those things, you know, as I got into high school, even as a freshman, sophomore, I knew I was going to go to college, and I figured, you know what, I definitely want to do the radio, TV thing, or something in the arts, right? Something in
Right.
the entertainments. So I started saving my money, and the way to do that was, you know, my mom and dad said, you know, we're going to support you 100%. But, you know, what's your vision? What do you want to do? What's your goal? I'm like, I want to go to college. And I started saving. And so the way I started doing that as a young kid, you know, 12, 13, 14, paper, you know,
Newspaper
newspaper
delivery.
route, you know, cutting grass, doing driveways, and doing a lot of free driveways because my parents told me that's the thing to do for our wiser neighbors. But then, you know, as that evolved, I started working as a young kid in a family-owned restaurant, not my family, but a family that allowed me from 8th grade, which took me 8th grade, all 4 years of high school, all 4 years of college, and a year out of college. I worked there 10 years. And I would make the beefs and the Italian ice, and it was a really cool little nook restaurant called Gina's. And best Vienna hot dogs around, by the way, still. And so I saved all my money then, and by the time I got through high school, I'd saved my first 2 years of college. I wasn't going to be able to stay at college because I still had to work. But in high school as a freshman, I started DJing for several DJ companies. So this is the era, and you'll appreciate this, the era of vinyl. So I was carrying crates around with people, and they were all my friends. They would, you know, take me, we'd set everything up, but we had the turntables and stuff. And as the DJ business evolved, I was making all these guys and gals all kinds of money, and they were paying me like nothing. So I said, you know what? My mom and daddy sat down, I said, I'm gonna start my own company. They're like, these people want me because I'm the dude going, everybody say yeah, and the crowds. So long story short with that, as a sophomore, I started DJing nonstop events, and I was sold out from that point for several years leading into my thing. So as a high school kid, I was working at, you know, this restaurant, doing side jobs, doing other things like that, but DJing nonstop. And then
Which undoubtedly was your favorite.
it was, because I love crowds still to this day, 40 years into the business plus. But, that's the stuff that was great, because at any given time for decades, we had 6 gigs out nonstop. It was like I had 6, 7, 8 sets of people working for me. Again, I took all that money, invested it properly. Thank you, Marco and Scotty, my brothers, who are my partners at Gerard Media, and our wives and our families. But that took me to college. And my goal to go to college was, looking at where can I go to college and get the education I want, because I was paying for it, obviously. But more importantly, I wanted to be on the radio immediately. Like, I wanted to be on the air. And so my 2 choices were Columbia College downtown,
Yes.
and North Central College in Naperville. And I wanted to see what Columbia was all about. I had a lot of people I had interacted with in the radio biz at that point. I went down there for summer classes between my high school graduation and leading into going into college that fall. And I was like the decision was that they weren't going to allow us to be on at Columbia until you were a junior. I'm like, I'm not going. North
Their
Central.
loss.
Well, I feel too. I think God was like, woo, there's the path, Ricky. North Central at that time, and still is, top rated radio station in the country for college. They were the #1 college station. I went to go visit them. A gentleman named John Madormo, who became my advisor all 4 years, because I said, if I'm coming to spend the kind of money that you are asking for, I need you to be my advisor. Long story short, from that first time out, I started doing radio as a freshman. I held every position in that radio station for 4 years, which was, news director, promotions director, station management,
Oh,
programming.
you learned it all.
And I was all jocking. So there I did that, but I was still DJing on the side, still doing this and that, working small market radio gigs, and loving life. Living La Vida Loco, woo! But I was also a commuter kid. So I didn't stay at college. I was a commuter kid.
Oh, you learned commuting early.
Oh, yeah. That's what keeps me young. Hey, right? Looks pretty good. But I'd just say, it's so fun.
How fabulous.
Yeah.
This
So-
is great. Do you have any advice for anybody who's maybe not in the business that you're in? How did you find it?
So the thought was, Suzy, where, as I was in college and, I'm on the radio and I'm doing different things, and you have to try a bunch of different projects. So in your world, whatever it is, whether it's business, whether it's radio, whether you want to be in management or business, find a niche and say, let's try it. So when I was in college, I pretty much tried every position at the radio station. But I also, as a sophomore, which was very unique, because most of the time when you're doing an internship in college, you're doing it as a junior or senior. I had to go to get permission. I'll just say it like that. It was very interesting, because I said, at one point, I will leave college if they don't let me do this internship. I competed to get an internship in Chicago as a young cat, as a sophomore. And it was the beginning of my sophomore year, so I literally had just finished being a freshman.
Ooh.
And it was at WBBM FM downtown at B96 in conjunction with WBBM AM. Everybody knows that the all-new station. At the time, B96 was B96, huge. So I had interviewed with a wonderful soul who worked at XRT and a bunch of other stations named Karen Hand. She was the news director. We competed for these different spots, and Karen said, Ricky, I want you to do an internship. I got the internship as a young kid in college. I was working with them, and I got to meet some unbelievable people as a young person. Got to work with, and some may know this name, but he was a legend. Outside of Karen being a legend, I worked with Eddie and Jobo, with Karen and Mike Elston. All these are huge names from the radio TV industry. I got to work with Tom Scherer. I was working with Karen, and she said, Tom needs someone to, do one of these big races downtown. Would you do? I'm like, I'm up. So the advice here, what I'm saying is, take advantage of these situations. If you don't know how to do something, ask. And more importantly, and I'm raising my hand, you could always say, and I'm not saying, you could be a little unique about it. You could say, I know how to do that. And then when you get the gig, you say, can you just show me the way you want me to do it? And that's another word for saying, get your foot in the door, try it. So that's really, what I did with that. And then through that internship with Karen and working with Tom, Karen let me cover, this is going to really date me, the first Farm Aid was in 1985.
Oh, my.
Karen had asked me, we were talking about the show, and I said, listen, I need off because I'm going to go with my friends to cover it. You had, Robbie Krieger from The Doors, Van Halen together for the first time with, Sammy Hagar and Eddie Van Halen. You had all kinds of unbelievable people that were on this bill. John Mellencamp was on the bill, but we went down there and I covered it, and I actually sent the audio and my reports from the stadium to BBM, and they utilized the audio, not me, because that's, union shop. Through that, I kept doing my thing. So I kept working at WONC, which was the radio station in college, and fast tracking through that. They had a 25th anniversary, and they invited back to the station a bunch of the alums. And some of the alums that came from all over the world, by the way, came there, and these were huge names in the business. Behind the scenes producers on air came from Shadow Traffic in Chicago. And so at this point, I'm like, this is insane. I'm now the program director of the radio station running it. I'm now picking up all these people either from airports or places. And they say, we're on the air. And they say, Rick, what do you want to do with these people? I'm like, we stayed up all night, a bunch of us, and we interviewed all these people on there. It was a big party. I got to meet some people from Shadow Traffic, which then spun that relationship into me getting an internship at Shadow Traffic. And that was on the 94th floor of the Hancock at the time. And it was like one of those things really mouth dropping. You walk in, it's like the who's who. And I'm like, I have found it, good Lord. So I went to that, and what had happened was I was interning. Thank you, Gary Lee. Thank you, Ric Federighi. Thank you, Barry Butler. Barry's an award-winning, world-known photographer right now. Rick's still running radio groups downtown. Gary Lee is the man, still doing stuff in radio and TV. And they went to go do, this is a time when WMAQ was doing traffic on the ones. And this was like fresh in the business. So they were doing traffic on the ones and sports at different times. And I just happened to be producing the overnight shift as an intern for the talent that was on the air. And no one was there. The other person left. And all of a sudden they said, WMAQ news time is 12:01. Let's go to the traffic center. And I opened the mic and I said, and I ran with it. And I said, okay, this is cool. So now I'm supposed to obviously be telling my bosses that I'm on the radio flipping Chicago as a young kid. And for the next 5 reports, I recorded all those reports. And then I called my boss and he says, we're listening. That evolved into them hiring me on the spot to work in Chicago radio. That opened up the door at WMAQ, thank you, good Lord. And I started doing traffic. That went from doing late night overnights, and I did different day parts, and then that got me morning drive for many years. Pat Cassidy, Ric Federighi, Don Nelson in the Chopper, Pam Reesmeyer, Jay Condon. And that was my 22-year journey downtown there, which let me work with the best people in the business. God, thank you for this. Don and Roma for many years on WLS. I was Spaz on the Rock 103.5. I worked at the Loop with a guy that I loved, Greg Salk, who it was one of my dreams was to work for him. I worked with Steve and Gary and just different people and met some awesome people along the way. Not only was I a talent, but I was in management. So I ran Shadow Traffic with Rick and Barry and Gary for 14 years. Oped helping to open up Metro Traffic and Traffic Pulse, and worked at all kinds of radio stations in that tenure. The Mix, which is WTMX, still around. Y108, which is now Spanish. And,
okay, Rick, how did we in Michigan City tag you?
Well, the whole time that I was evolving as a young talent, my goal, and this is another thing that I want young people to recognize, or anybody, doesn't matter what your age is, a new chapter in your world, really, at 59 years young, I'm telling you, if you have a dream, follow the dream. But, really what had happened was I always wanted to own my own radio station, and it's funny, in any business that you do, and I'm sure, Suzy, you've ran into this being an artist and all the cool things that you've done in your world, which you have an awesome background as well. People would laugh at you. They'd say, I said, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And I'd be like, well, kind of doing what I'm doing right now, baby stepping, I'm saving my money, I'm investing properly, I want to own my own radio station. And literally, people would laugh in my face. Radio station owners that I was working for in management to help to get them to do traffic, news, sports, weather with the networks would say, you're never going to do it, you just never. And that, for me, was the motivator.
Right.
Now, granted,
throw it down.
Right. It took 20 years of investing. It took 20 years of really super hard work.
Keeping your eye on the ball.
Always. My brothers, obviously, were working downtown for the Merc traders. When trading was real, not the digital stuff today. It was like true holding seats, and a lot of family was involved with that, and they worked hard as well. And I came to them with this vision. They said they always wanted me to come work for them. I'm like, I'm doing my thing. But you know, all along the way, Norma, my wife, and I had been together. She was 15, I was 16. So I had Norma helping me along the way. So we went out for 8 years, and this year, 2026, we celebrate 35 years married, 2 adorable grandchildren, 1 on the way in April. I love you guys. 2 beautiful daughters, Carly and Devin. Devin is a traveling NICU nurse, and Carly runs our social media and marketing for Gerard Media.
Amazing.
So I love it. But I mean, in a nutshell, but really follow the dream. I say that to everybody. You know that as well.
Yeah, well, and
you know?
it tickles you. I mean, you're talking to somebody who I like to say jumped out of the Sears Tower, the 76th floor, and said goodbye.
Right.
Not doing that anymore.
Exactly. And you know, being downtown, to this day, could I still go downtown? 100%.
Yes.
Have several offers still all the time. I'm thankful for that. And I feel very blessed, but I also feel in life, sometimes you take maybe a different turn. And even my wife goes, you sure you want to do this? I'm like, I'm going to follow my dream on this one. And she's like, I back you 100%, as I back her. She's an engineer. And she's been doing, her gig for over 30 years. And I feel that where we are in our world, in our chapter, there's still some good years left. And I love what I do. But, what started out as, buying a radio station, because my brothers and I were going to bid on properties that were defunct, that were in bankruptcy, quite honestly, in Northwest Indiana. And it was a pure WJOB in Hammond and WIMS here in Michigan City. And so we were going to, bid on them. And there was another group that was going to bid on them. We got together and said, do you want to try this? You want to try to work together? We agreed to work together. And about 1.5 years into the venture, we decided it was best that we took WIMS and they took WJOB. They still have JOB. I still have IMS. IMS started out as one signal, AM 1420. Been around since 1947. I applied for different licenses and different things and watched things evolve. It was ground floor. It was a defunct radio station. So the thought, the vision was live and local, which we have to this day, as you know. So we're doing that. And then through the course of the last 18 years, I've added 95.1 and I've added 106.7. So you've got AM 1420, 95.1, 106.7. We simulcast. For those that don't know what that is, you take those 3 signals, you put them together with the approval of the FCC. We stream around the world and we use other tools like Facebook Live and other things. So geographically, 106.7, when you're in Valparaiso, in that area, Chesterton, Westville, Wanata, you could turn on 106.7. When you're in Michigan City and you're going all the way into Bridgman, you tune on 95.1 FM. And when you're around the area, I call it the mini blowtorch, portions of Lake County, Porter, LaPorte, Jasper, Newton, Kosciuszko, you turn on AM 1420. And when you want to be with the world, you stream. So that's what we did. So and so that's what we've added over the last X years. But inside of that circle, passion and love for St. Joe, Michigan, and that area. Set of properties came up defunct, and I was bidding on it and went back and forth. So I bought WHFB, the heart of the Fruit Belt. And we say Hot Federighi brothers, but I'm just saying, that was given to us. We didn't come up with that. We bought that probably about 12, 13 years ago. And we started out as news and it was cool local feel. It's now Motown and more, and people love it.
Oh my
It's all
God.
about the music up there, all about live and local. Thanks to our great partners everywhere, because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here. And so fast forward to 26.
Yes.
We have WHFB with 2 signals, AM 1060 and 102.5. We did the same thing there. We bought AM 1060, added an FM to it, simulcast. We have 5 signals, and we're all around the area.
Whoa!
Love it.
You are the Midwest.
Woo! Thank you, Big G, the good Lord.
Yes, you've got that right. And I must say, one of the things I notice about you is how generous you are with other people.
Thank you.
It's your way, I think, of saying thank you.
Always.
And you are marvelous.
Appreciate
so
that.
In
Thank
my
you.
world, gratitude is everything.
Thank you.
And if we can find a way to be grateful about something in our life,
I agree.
the world will respond.
You know, and I think too, giving back, helping those that are behind you, the generations behind you, helping those that are in front of you, absorbing, never too old to learn something, follow the dream. You know, I can't tell you how many times you get beaten down by so many people that are, I use the word unique a lot in my world, that are unique. Take that word, go for it. You'll love it because it's politically correct. But I mean, you learn from those experiences. You learn from mistakes. It's not always going to be hard. I'm telling you, I do this gig 7 days a week. I love what I do. I'm thankful for it. But I feel no matter if you have a significant other or not, that soulmate, which I feel I do have, has to know and breathe it with you as you have to be back to them. In other words, if they're following their dreams, respect, listen. You're not always going to be right. In my case, Norma's always right. I'm just saying, I love her. But it's things like that I feel that make life awesome. I love life. And
It's very clear.
I so love life, and I feel that I've done a lot of cool things. I'm proud of what I've done. I said this to my daughter this morning who was watching Bulls, the movie. I had the pleasure of being in the latest movie shot here in Michigan City. It's released worldwide. It's on, on demand right now. And they released it in theaters a week or 2 ago. Dan Meyer, I love you. But I told her, as I told her as a NICU nurse, follow your dreams. She's a traveling NICU nurse. She's young. She's got a person in her world that she loves as well. And she just found her dream job as she's been traveling around. She did the West Coast for many years, but started out at different areas and just loving it. But follow your dream, be good to people, love life. And I did it the way I wanted to do it. You know, sometimes you have to do it. You have to do different things to get to that. I always said, I'm doing it my way, and I'm not going to back down from that. And I feel that's the best way to do it because you have no one to blame but yourself if you don't get to that, right? You mean that, right?
Right.
In the world, and it's not for everybody. And, to each his own, as my mother would say, love my mother. But it starts with our parents. Love my parents. My father's no longer with us. My mom's awesome, as she's wiser in years now, but still is a little spunky G-Ma.
Yeah.
We call her a little sassy. And if you're watching this, Mom, I love you. Norma's parents are great. We have great families. And not everybody has that, but I feel you make in life, once you get out of it, what you put into it, quite honestly.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Ric Federighi, WIMS. Fabulous.
Thank you.